Hello, welcome to Post Colonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and this is one of those videos where I talk about life based in my own experience, but also in reading and reflecting about things in life. And today I'll just briefly want to talk about how to deal with adverse circumstances, trying situations, and what we may term hard and trying times. Now, obviously, this is based in my experience over a lifetime, but especially the last couple of years, but also in my reflection on these things. So, first and foremost, the most important thing to keep in mind is that while we are socialized and trained to reflect on our actions, and most of the times we take responsibility for it, for our own actions, for our own failures and successes. But most of the times, things that happen to us are out of our control. There are larger things in the world, larger systems in the world, powerful systems that sometimes, despite our hard work, define how we behave or what happens to us. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind during all these struggles and times is that, first of all, you take it and you face it, but you don't face it alone. You look around yourself and see who your allies are, who your friends are, and keep them close to you. One thing that we must not do under trying and challenging circumstances is to take it out on those we love. That's what often happens because we're dealing with the world outside and it's crushing us, and the only power we might have is the people around us. And we might hope that they'll understand how we are feeling and forgive us. But what that does is it destroys the very sources of support that you might otherwise have had. What I have learned and experienced and what I practice, and it gives me a lot of solace and strength, is that when the world outside is hard to deal with, or when it is posing me challenges, the way I modulate my behavior is to try to become extra soft and kind and generous to those around me, those who love me and support me, and to also do random acts of kindness here and there. That's how I have trained my reflexes, so to speak, is that when my life is harder, I try to go out in the world and make someone else's life better. Now, that doesn't make me a saint. What I'm trying to say is that it serves an integral purpose in stabilizing my identity, right? Because there is research on it from 1970s onwards that tells us that when we are in a state of stress or anxiety, one way of releasing that anxiety and that stress is to actually go out in the world and do something good for others. That means being kind isn't just a service to others. As I've said in another one of my videos, it helps us cope with stress. I gave up something that so many people cherish and want to cling on to even when they're unhappy, right? And so that gives me strength that says I walked away from a career because I felt I needed to do that or just suffer through it, right? I didn't choose to suffer through it. It added to my struggles. And of course, that decision was never my own. I never single handedly made that decision. The person whom I love the most in this world is my wife, right? So any decision that I made was made in consultation with her. That's another important thing when you have to take such decisions is don't just base them on what you want to do. Also think about what would be the impact on those you love, right? So instead of spending time on what went wrong and who wronged you, it would be better to look around and see, okay, you're down, you're struggling, you're trying to get back on your feet. Who are the people who are helping you? Not in huge ways, but even in small little ways. People who are kind to you, people who are still nice to you, who still value you. Focus on those people, right? Because what that does is it takes away your focus from probably what you've lost, or probably the sense you feel like you've been wronged. And it takes your focus away from that trauma and that negativity and focuses you on the present and the future and the good around you. Now, if you are strangely in a position where you're completely isolated and you don't have anyone around you, I would recommend going out, going to a coffee house, talking to some people, even getting professional help. There is nothing wrong with that. A person to talk to, even if they are professionals, and they are offering either voluntary help or government sponsored help. There is no harm in it. Actually, that's a thing that I will highly recommend. If you're lucky to have friends and family who are patient listeners, go and talk to them. Do not isolate yourself. Then, pragmatically speaking, look at what your skills are. What experience do you have? What do you have to offer to the world? And within that, figure out where you would like to apply for jobs. What would you like to do? Now, I give you my example. When I quit my job and moved, for personal and family reasons, of course, to Wheeling, I first of all tried to build a community. So I found my coffee house, which is the Mugshots Coffee House, right? People who own the place, Grant and other people who work there, befriended me, became my friend. So it became my safe and happy place. Anytime I have a few spare moments, I went there because I knew I will be welcome as I am. So find a place, people who will treat you with respect, love, and dignity no matter what you do or who you are. So that's what I did. Then I tried to look for jobs in academia, anywhere else there where my skills could be used. But I also branched out, right? So I started my life coaching business. I actually got 6 months training and a certificate to be a success coach, to be an academic coach. I created a website, started getting clients. Now, part of it isn't just that there was a material advantage in that. Part of it was you convincing yourself, I've left what I used to do, but I still have useful skills. And plus, more importantly, something to give to the world. And what it does is it then puts you on a positive track. Never think of what you do as below your station or below your dignity. Any kind of honest work, may it be labor with your hands or with your mind, is worthy of doing. Any kind of work in which you can use your talents to produce something or to help someone is worthy of your time. Eventually, did the life coaching, and I started putting more efforts into my YouTube channel. I produce educational videos, right? And people use them. So the more people came to this channel and still keep coming, the more questions they asked, the more effort I put into it. There may not be a huge monetary advantage, but think of it. There is a huge recognitional advantage. The gift of recognition that comes from people from all over the world became then again another sustaining thing in my life, a positive thing in my life. Beyond that, I eventually got my teaching job at a high school. Now, a lot of my former colleagues or senior professors would think like, what am I doing in a high school? But actually, these 5 or 6 weeks have been the most rewarding weeks of my life because I am dealing with young people. I'm sharing my knowledge and experience with them, but I'm learning from them every single day, right? What are their anxieties? Even if they don't tell me what their anxieties are. How do they treat each other? How do they behave, right? How best can I give them the little that I know? That's learning. It keeps me active, right? It keeps me positive. So overall, life is full of struggles. Most of the times, we human beings create those struggles for each other. My biggest advice is do not focus on the losses. Learn from them. Move on. Change your skills. Change your behaviors. Be true to those who love you. Be kind and generous to those who love you. Let them help you. And go and do random acts of small kindnesses to perfect strangers, and you will see it will make you feel better because that's a positive activity, and a positive activity literally, chemically induces your body to produce positive hormones, right? And beyond that, remember, wherever you are, whatever you do, you have something valuable to contribute to this world. You have something positive to do in this world. Focus on that and try to keep crafting, building, etching away your path in this world. That's all I have to say. I hope this is of some use to you. Thank you so much for being in my life. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, be kind and generous to each other. And I'll be back next time, maybe with some educational video or something like this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be grateful for that. Thank you, and peace and love.